Hello everyone, it's Mr. Burns here from A110, and I'm going to go over in today's flip video the voter registration and participation notes, which you should see on your HyperDoc, which looks like this. So you should have your HyperDoc, you did the warm-up, and now we're going to do the notes. You can see you have a Cornell Notes table here, the question on the left, you write your notes in on the right side. It should go onto the next page as well. You can change the color or the font of your text if you would like to. Okay, so we're going to be in the first row here. Why is voting important? All right, so remember voting, we learned about this in the citizenship unit, that voting is a basic responsibility of citizenship. Once you become a citizen, you do have that right and that responsibility to vote in elections. So voting is a basic responsibility of citizenship. Not something you have to do, but something you should do. And remember, every vote is important. An election could come down to a handful of votes or even one vote in a local election, so make sure you are participating when you can and actively participating in the political process. All right, next is the second question. What is voter registration? So we're going to have two slides on what is voter registration. So slide 4, voter registration is required before a citizen may vote. So voter registration is required before a citizen may vote. I'm going to change that to red so you can see that. All right. You have to register to vote. You did that in the warm-up today, right? You completed that activity looking at the voter registration guide. Only citizens that register can participate in primary and general elections. Usually the primary election is in in June. The primary election is sometimes in Super Tuesday, when we have a presidential year, like in 2016 or 2020, Super Tuesday. General election this year is actually going to be on November 2nd. We don't have a presidential election this year, but we have a gubernatorial for the new governor. We have some local elections as well. How can I remember the difference between a primary and a general election? this is a warning, I'm going to do a sports analogy. The primary election, that's first, like primary school, is like the playoffs. The teams in the same conference, the teams in the same division go against each other to try to see who represents their conference or their division in the championship game. So this would be like Republicans going against Republicans, Democrats going against Democrats, for example. They're trying to narrow the field down to one individual from that party to represent the party. The general election is like the Super Bowl, the championship game. So this is a Republican versus a Democrat. Candidates from two different parties competing to see who takes office, to see who wins the prize, the trophy, if you will. So that's the difference between primary. Primary comes first, general election comes second. Primary is usually sometime in the spring or summer. General election is usually in November on election day. Okay, let's look now. We're going to do qualifications to vote in Virginia. So there's going to be 3 qualifications. Number 1 is you have to be a citizen of the United States, whether that's born or naturalized. Born or naturalized. Number 2, you have to be a resident of Virginia in your local precinct. So you have to live in Virginia, and you have to live within a precinct, which is like a voting area that's created by the Board of Elections, and you vote in that precinct. It will come on your voter registration card, and it'll tell you where to vote. The third one is you have to be 18 years old by the day of the general election. So you can vote in a primary election if you're 17, as long as you've registered ahead of time, knowing that you're going to be 18 on the day of the general election. Remember, you can pause the video at any time if needed. If you turn 14 before or on November 4th, 2021, you'll be able to vote in the 2025 election, which is our next governor's election after this year. If you if you turn 14 after November 4th, 2021, you'll not be able to vote until the 2026 election, which means everyone that's watching this, if you are currently in 8th grade, you will be able to vote in 2028 in the presidential election, not 2024. You don't make the cut. Okay, so let's go back over here. How to register to vote. There's 3 different ways to register to vote. The first one to register is in person at the registrar's office. So that's the Fairfax County Registrar's Office is at the Fairfax County Government Center. The second way of doing so is by mail. You can get your mail application at the DMV, public library, other offices. The third is probably the easiest, and that is by registering online at this website here. Fill out the registration form. You probably have to upload some documentation, and then once you do that, you are able to get your voter registration card. Okay, next line here. Remember, registration is closed approximately 22 days before the election. This year it's going to be on October 12th, 2021. Usually if it falls on Columbus Day, they do it the day after, and this year it would fall on Columbus Day, so they'll do it the day after. So it'll actually be 21 days, I guess, before this year. The next one is going to be, what factors predict which citizens vote? So we're going to be on this question here. The first one is, oh, what happened to age? Ah, there it is. Age. Generally, people who are a little bit older tend to vote more frequently. They have more of a stake in society. They have jobs. They own property. So they have children. So they tend to vote more frequently. People who are more educated, higher education levels, college degrees, postgraduate degrees tend to vote more than people without college degrees. And the third one is income. People who make more money tend to have a higher voter turnout rate. They have more stake in society, so they'll vote more often. So age, education, income, the first three vowels, A, E, I. But why do people decide not to vote? So we're going to be in the next table. Why don't more citizens vote in elections? There's going to be 4 reasons. One, they're not interested. They have a lack of interest. They have a lack of interest. Number 2, they're not registered, or they forgot to register. They don't know how to register. If you're not registered, you can't vote. Number 3, the belief that your vote does not count or has no impact. Oh, I'm going to vote for that candidate. They're going to win anyways, or they're going to lose anyways. I'm not going to vote for them. I'm not going to vote. And the last one is you're too busy. You don't have time. This is life, it gets crazy. Life is busy. So I understand that. But that should not be a reason why you don't vote. And in fact, all employers have to give you time to vote on election day. That's a requirement by law. All right, let's go to the next question. When is voting percentages highest? And that's going to be higher in presidential election years. They're usually greater in presidential election years than those years where we have state and local elections. Okay. I have another chart here. Often citizens vote in higher percentages during presidential election years versus state and local elections. You can see here that this is Maine was the leading state. You can see Virginia is in blue, kind of in the middle. But you can see every presidential election year, 4, 8, and 12 are higher than local election years of 6, 8, and 6, 10, and 14. And that would also apply the years in between the odd number years. So you can see that. How can students participate in the process? How can students participate in the democratic process? That's the last question there. You can participate in campaigns. You can demonstrate your civic responsibility of participating in campaigns. You can also participate in online and classroom simulations. We'll do some of those this unit. Maybe we'll do one with a political spectrum quiz. We'll do some online questions, and that's one way you can participate in politics, figure out what your ideology is, your political stances on different issues and candidates. All right. Thank you very much for watching. Rewatch if necessary. Have a great day.